A routine trip has ended in disaster for a local resident, Jesus Contreras. Although full details of the incidents are not available at this time, the injuries suffered by Senor Contreras were so severe as to require the amputation of his right arm. The full depth of this tragedy could be grasped only when it was discovered that Senor Contreras is a successful sculptor. Despite everything that implied for his career, Contreras continued to sculpt and soon produced a statue that can be seen today in the Musée National d'Art, which he titled Malgre Tout, or Despite Everything. Although many of his previous works were cast in bronze, after having been molded in clay, Malgre Tout is a life-sized figure carved in marble. In this work, Contreras, who was one of the first exponents of modernism in early 20th century Mexican sculpture, evokes the state of mind of a chained woman who, despite the shackles that bind her, strains her face forward in yearning, expressing the universal feeling of malaise that is produced when freedom is fettered. He belongs to the end of century avant-garde that was profoundly pessimistic in the face of a rationalist positivism that they found inimical to beauty and hope. Meanwhile, Manuel Ponce, Mexican composer, while perhaps best known for his guitar composition, was also a highly accomplished pianist. Indeed, his compositions for piano outnumber those for guitar, and he also wrote songs, orchestral works, and arrangements of folk songs. Although he studied in Bologna, Berlin, and Paris, Ponce's affinity for the folk idioms of his native country were a foundation of his musical imagination. Hater Villa-Lobos wrote, I remember that I asked him at that time if the composers of his country were as yet taking an interest in native music, and he answered that he himself had been working in that direction. It gave me great joy to learn that in that distant part of my continent there were another artist who was arming himself with the resources of the folklore of his people in the struggle for the future musical independence of his country. One of Ponce's earliest published compositions, the first version, appeared when he was 18 years old, borrowed the title from Contreras' sculpture and is dedicated to the memory of the ill-fated sculptor Jesus Contreras. The piece is for piano and is written for the left hand alone. Music as metaphor. Despite any musical elaborations, Ponce Malgre Tout remains a compelling piece of music and embodies what pianists call music as metaphor. We all agree that music is sound. However, sometimes other elements can be vitally important to a musical piece. Malgre Tout is a particularly striking example of the alchemy between musical, visual, and programmatic elements, since the side of the music being executed by the left hand alone here constitutes a metaphor explained by the title, which enhances the melancholy music. In this piece, music as metaphor is an unusual feature and one that is intimately bound to the mood, the origin, and even the appearance in performance. Thank you for your attention.